a list of questions to work on and to, and essentially I've gone through and pretty much asked the questions, and then I've got documents here to kind of go over how I've organized them. But really, it's a lot of the stuff today, it's being persistent, and I've noticed it's being anally organized. And that's what I found that's worked for me. The first question here that I have is, how do you find COIs? And how I find COIs now is much different than how I found COIs when I was first starting out as an agent. When I was first starting out as an agent, it was going to places where I knew that my COIs would be, which was networking events, chamber events, marketing events, as everyone has done. And it was collecting business cards and trying to visit them and things like that. I've gone to the Yellow Pages online to find COIs. I've gone to driving around saying, oh, there's a mortgage company, there's a real estate office, I want to go and visit all of these different places. So those were a couple methods that I started off with when I first became an agent. And then right now, my best tried and true method to find COIs is really ones that I've worked with off of the current book of business. So when somebody's refinancing a house, when a client is buying a new property, it's really getting in touch with those COIs that I've worked with. They already know that, hey, if you send me a request, I'm going to get this to you within, an hour or two, or within 24 hours. So it's COIs that know our process, how we work, and that they can trust us. So we've kind of built that immediate trust right from there. Another thing too, keeping them organized with our, when I find COIs, I have this checklist when we first write a policy here, and I know that you guys have seen this before. It's been passed around many different times. I've updated it just so that it fits my agency, but after the policies have written, you can see here on I've highlighted if it's a new purchase, or even if it's a refinance, essentially the loan officer gets filed into our COI marketing folder. And then once they go into that, it either goes into a folder, or it's, hey Santana, look, we have a new COI, let's add them to our list. Or Sergio, we have a new COI, let's add them to the list. So this is the way that we stay organized when we find COIs. As far as any challenges that I find with starting or maintaining relationships with COIs, my biggest challenge with starting that relationship with the COIs is building that relationship. And as much as we say, oh, we're insurance agents, we're really good at building relationships, but how good are we really at building relationships? Because I find that to be sometimes the hardest thing, because they're always standoffish with us. Why do they want to send us business? What can I give to them? What can they get from me? So that's a big thing with starting and maintaining those, or even connecting with them. When I first go in and talk with a COI, I go in with the understanding that they're already working with an insurance agent. So I don't come in and say, oh, hey, I want to be number one right away. I come in and say, hey, let me be your backup. If you're Top Gun insurance agent, if they're not in the office one day, come to me, because I'll be that backup and I'll be able to fill in for you. And I found that that's an easier transition than to just be like, hey, send them to me first thing. So that's really worked out well with me. I always try to bring them something. As we were talking about personalizing, when we talk to people, I very rarely bring them pens. I do bring them Post-its, but that's only because they've asked me. I don't try to bring pens or company stuff, sales aids, things like that, because when we are marketed to as agents from glass companies or restoration companies or what have you, I throw it immediately in the trash bin. And I know that sounds mean, or I know that sounds rude, but I don't want a desk full of a bunch of trinkets. So I throw it away, and I figure, if I'm going to throw this away, they're going to throw my stuff away. So I'm going to bring them something that they can use. Typically it is cupcakes. I'm known as the cupcake lady. Or if I don't bring them cupcakes, it's, oh, are you going to bring cupcakes next time? Or if it's, I get to know them, of course. So sometimes it's fruit. Some people don't want all that sugar, so they want fruit or something else in exchange. I do a lot of gift cards. I'll do like a $10 gift card to Chipotle, to Starbucks. So I try to give them something of value, not just something that's logo that, oh, they're going to keep this AmFam thing forever that's got, you know, my information on it. I think there's a time and a place for sales aids, but when I'm working with COIs, I find that I'm wasting my money giving them bouncy balls or what have you that you can get logoed. With maintaining those relationships, much of our conversation is done through email. I do very little over the phone with them. I probably should do more over the phone with them, but much of it is over email. So it's really in that email, how can I be engaging with them? Not just a monotone robot, you know, by email, but really how can I engage with them? And so a lot of times I'm, you know, asking about their family or their wife or their kids, or, you know, asking how business is going. There is one specific COI that I have. I have worked with him for 4 years now. He's my very best COI, and I just met him in January of this year. And so that can attest right there that how powerful email can really be when you're building that relationship. And I have on countless occasions have tried to schedule lunch with him because I really want to have that face-to-face communication. But for some reason he says, yes, let's do lunch, and then when we go to schedule it, it falls through. So him and we've contacted through email, and I am one of the main insurance agents that he sends business to. So I know that a lot of the COIs that I work with, they have at least 3 or more insurance agents that they're sending out those referrals to. And so I'll bring that up with new COIs. I know that you work with 3 insurance agents, or you work with 4 insurance agents, but you know, how can I get on that list? And so I ask them questions of how can I get on your bid list? Almost like when we ask about commercial, I ask that with my COIs as well. And then another thing, like I mentioned before, was staying organized with those COIs. This is something that I've developed, and after seeing what Ginger has, I know that I can probably enhance it even more. But this is something that I've developed that myself, Santana, and Sergio work on in the office. And this can at least show you here how many COIs we are working with. I think there's about 25 COIs here, 23 to 25 COIs that we're working with. And this is all of these mortgage companies. Our attempt is to visit them at least once a month and make contact with them once a month. But essentially we have split them up by colors, so we know who's going to what. We stay in contact, or we have the last contact date with them, and then we put notes on who we spoke with, how, you know, who they were working with. That's the one main thing, is to, when you're first going to meet with the COI, I immediately bring them cupcakes or cookies or what have you, and I let them know, Tiffany, thank you for referring Lydia to me. She said great things about you, and I just want to thank you for, you know, working with Lydia and whatnot. And so I say a combination of that, and then, hey, you can use me as your backup anytime you want. And that's kind of how I approach a COI. But this is how we mainly stay organized with that. In addition to that, with our contact dates, we don't leave a lot of notes here. I mean, these are just very basic notes, but then we also go into our calendar. And I took a screenshot. This is actually Sergio's calendar. And so you can see here, he has blocked out time to go and actually see that COI. And essentially, he has, I think, roughly 10 COIs that he works with. So he visits 2 per week. Each calendar appointment, he's then dropped in who he's going to go and see, and then he drops in more detailed notes into here. So that when I'm looking at the calendar, I can go back into Sergio's notes, I can go back to that date that he went and visited that COI, and then he has more notes in there. So this is really how we're staying organized with it, and this is the best method we found so far, but I'm sure there can be more tweaking done to it. When we go and talk to a COI and connecting with them and building that relationship with them, another challenge that we found is we'll first make the connection, they'll send us a referral, they'll send us a quote, and our first quote is too high. And they'll see that, and then they'll see the 3 different other insurance agents that they work with that they're lower. And so I try to overcome that immediately and try to address the price immediately when I'm working with a COI. I've noticed that a lot of them will send me 1 quote or 1 referral, and then I'll never get that. I'll go back and visit them, and they'll say, "Oh, well, you were too high," and that's my opportunity to explain coverage A, those differences, replacement value, and different other things. Yep.
I have a question regarding this. So a lot of these COIs are for homes, right?
Mine are mainly for homes, yes.
I have a realtor that I work with, and it seems like she's always rushing so fast. She's giving me a lot of business, but it seems like she wants a quote right this second, and I give it to her as fast as I can, but there's such a big difference with the auto discount and the non-auto discount that I try and I explain in my email, this is your price, but if I could get their contact info or they could call me, it could actually be this price. And she always just looks at the main price without the auto, and she said, "No, you're too high." And I think how do you do it? Do you send the quote with the auto discount, or do you send it without?
No. When they're looking at their email, they're looking at it really quick, and essentially they are copying your attachment and adding it to another email to send their client 1 email with 3 other insurance quotes. I don't quote any of them with home and auto discount. I have done that in the past, and when they actually come through to sign up with you, then it looks misleading, and then I'm caught in a situation that I don't want to be in. But what I do have one of my main COIs that's on here that I work with, and they send me a ton of referrals, and my closing ratio is really low with them. But they send me a ton of quotes, and I've talked with them before. They keep saying, "Oh, I feel bad that I'm sending you all these clients that their prices are too high, or you guys are too high." And I let them know where I'm competitive. And so that's the type of conversations that I have with my COIs. "Oh, hey, I wrote a client and we were $300 a year. It was a brand new property, they had good credit, this is the situation." And sometimes in those emails, I'll address the price right away, so we're getting that off the table. And I'll let them know, "Hey, it didn't come back as good as I thought it would be, but it's mainly due to their credit, and the size of the property is huge, enormous house, and it was built in '77. I'm not as competitive there." But then they know that, hey, this one property we may not be as good with, but next time when I have a client that has this, they're going to be good with. So.
Just an idea, maybe one thing to kind of set apart, because maybe you have a higher price, but I know that most companies can't offer the kind of liability on a home that we can. big of a price jump from the 300 to the 500, maybe sending all the quotes at the 500, so that they say, hey, you have this higher liability, yeah, you're a little bit more, but you have higher liability, and the other company may not even be able to offer it at all.
That's a great point. And that is something that I do. I send all my quotes at 500,000 for liability. And if I have to up it to $1 million, I'll explain, hey, they have a pool. So I'll explain to the loan officer that I work with so that they know that I'm trying to do well by their client. And I'm really trying to take care of their client, not just trying to win on price. So.
What's the dollar amount from 3 to 5?
Like,
$16, $17 a year, yeah.
Okay.
It's not a whole lot
if-
for a year.
If that, yeah, but all of mine are sent at 500,000, and if they come back and say, hey, can you do any better, then I'll maybe take it down to 300,000 and send them over that quote.
And none of the companies I've ever worked for could go above 300,000,
Really?
whether they wanted it or not, so.
Very good.
I'll explain claims to them too. So I tell them exactly what I'm looking for. I'll explain to them if they have claims, if they have this. Now they don't know if they have claims, but sometimes I'll have to come back and say, well, this claim is only, I recently had one that was 4 years old, and I told them, this is contingent upon writing the auto, but here's the quote. So, I stay in contact with them primarily through email and through office visits. Like I said before, I try to visit them once a month, and then I also stay in contact with them through email, and this is my main method of tracking them. As far as manage my time with finding and keeping COIs, finding them for me right now has really become a part of the daily operations. It doesn't take any time out of my day to find COIs because they're simply sitting on the fax machine when I get ready, when I get there to work, or sitting in my email. So really finding has taken a very small, investment, but at the beginning, it took a lot of time to find COIs, and it was mainly through networking, marketing, prospecting, things like that. Maintaining the COIs and keeping them, with this, we probably spend, Santana probably spends 2 hours a week, Sergio spends 2 hours a week, and I spend about 2 hours a week. So combined, it's probably about 6 hours a week that we spend maintaining those COIs.
Two questions, do you make those cookies?
No.
Oh, you buy them, okay. I'm just curious. And then, sounds really good right now, cupcakes and frosting.
I cannot make them as elaborate as they come, and I want them to look pretty when they get to COIs. And I'm telling you, I'm very anal about that too. I don't want cupcakes that are melted or that are shoddy or look all weird. And so even during the summer, it's really hard to keep cupcakes looking nice. And I will literally go to the cupcakery or wherever, Mad Hatter, wherever you go to, I'll go there, buy one thing, and then deliver it, and then go back and buy another one and deliver it. But it makes a difference because if you're sending them melted cupcakes.
They're gonna think you're a melted agent.
Right. Exactly.
And then my next question is, you say that you give out gift cards. Is that just like every 6 months you go visit them, here's a gift card, or every single time they send you something, you keep track, or how much?
I don't send it to them every single time they send me something. I do send personalized thank you notes with those gift cards. And the thank you notes, I don't just do a general, hey, thank you for your business, although I think is nice. I'll put something else in there. I'll put something to the tune of, thank you for your kind heart. You've been so generous to my business. It's really, taken my agency to this next level, and I attribute that to our relationship or something like that. I give them a gift card, a nice, healthy gift card over Christmas time. I don't do any gift baskets because when I get those baskets, I don't really do anything with it. But I give them a nice gift card over Christmas time, and I try to personalize the gift card too. I've got 2 women and 1 male, and I try to go and pick out one that I think, would best fit them. Like the guy, I pick out Fleming's because it's steak. The women, I'll pick out like Target or H&M or something like that. And then on the cupcakes, I spend about $15 per thing of cupcakes that actually goes to 1 COI. And so if I alternate a gift card, I'll spend that same amount in a gift card too. So they get something that's decent of value.
So is that once a month thing you're saying, that when you go to your COIs and you bring in the cupcakes or the gift card?
Some months get skipped. I'm not perfect, but the goal is to visit them once a month and make contact with them once a month in person. And a lot of times I don't even see them when I go and visit them. It's just a surprise visit when I'm going in, and then they have it on their desk the next morning when they get in. So with out of these COIs that I've worked with, like I said, we have about 23 that we bring something to every month and that we try to stay in contact with. 3 of them are sending us constant business and are my main COIs. And kind of like Tiffany was saying with Sid Walker and how he was saying roll the dice with cold calling, I think it's the same with COIs. I mean, you can't worry about the ones that are not responding to you or not sending you anything, and at some point you have to get off of them because they're never going to send anything to you. I in fact had one that I kept him on the list, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but he's still on that list right now when I look at it. And he actually told me one time, he said, "Heather, I think it's really nice that you're giving me cupcakes, but I don't know why you're visiting me every month because I've never sent you any business." And he said this after like the 3rd or 4th time that we visited him, and I was kind of stunned in my tracks. And I said, "Well, someday you'll send something to me." And he goes, "Okay, well, if you want to keep sending me cupcakes." So, but really, it takes visiting a lot of mortgage companies and a lot of pounding the pavement to even get 3, even just the 3 main that I have. But the success rate, once you have those 3, I was calculating my success rate last night, and with those 3, I'm doing roughly 40 to 60% of the quotes they send me. I'm actually writing like 40 to 60% of those. So that averages about 4 to 5 policies per month just from COIs, and that's just the auto. Or I'm sorry, that's just the home. I'm not counting the autos or anything like that I'm getting from them. So, as far as my follow-ups, I'm not nearly doing enough follow-up as I should, but this is how I follow up with the COIs once they send me a quote. I do all of my follow-ups in Outlook, and as you can see on the item that I showed you prior, how our reminders and calendar and whatnot, I do a ton of stuff through Outlook. I live on Outlook. And so this is how I do my follow-up and my reminders is also in Outlook. So this is one of my COIs that I work with. They have a special folder that of course everything goes into. This is how her quote comes to me or referral comes to me. She just puts it in email and she puts it in her own format. That's another thing that I wanted to mention is I used to come with all these sheets of paper and here, fill out this quote sheet and send it back to me and fax it back to me. In all of the COIs that I work with, they don't use that quote sheet and it's retarded and I'm wasting paper. So I don't do a quote sheet or send it because they don't use it. They'll send me. They're used to sending quotes. They can send it to me in whatever format they want to send it. one she sends it to me like this. The two others will send it to me in an attachment with the borrower information. So that's how I get those. And then, once I send the quote, so this quote, I try to send them as soon as possible. And that's one thing that has made a really good relationship with my COIs is that, the quotes go out to them really fast. Then what I do is set a follow-up reminder from that email. So if you look up here, there's actually a follow-up tab in Outlook. You can go to a drop-down and it'll bring up reminder. Once you click on that, it brings up this box and it'll set a reminder in your Outlook calendar to follow up with that email. And that's how I do my follow-ups with my COIs. That's actually how I do my follow-ups with everything, but it works really well with COIs too, so.
I do a lot of tasks on the bottom of the calendar instead of the, instead of
Yeah,
that, but
over here.
I think I'm gonna start using that, but I use tasks and that comes up throughout the day to
Yeah,
remind you that you gotta make this call.
yep. I've used tasks before too.
Yeah, but that works better this way?
Personally, I prefer this way just because it pops up when it's ready, when I need to send it. I need something that's gonna flash in my face and say,
No.
send this email right now, and that's what works for me, so. Any questions?
When you get all that information from the COI, let's say contact info, home, all that stuff, and you do not write the business, what happens to that info?
Nothing.
Nothing?
I-
What could happen with it?
I should probably keep them in a folder for next year. I'll put
I mean,
them in.
it's all about getting those X dates and building that database.
Yeah.
But using that reminder to follow up maybe 11 months after the close, or 10 months after the close, what, 30, 60 days usually renewal goes out?
A
Just
lot of
another way to build that database.
Yes, yeah. A lot of times, my COIs don't send out the personal contact information because they don't want me contacting them. They want me to send the quote and then them contacting the client. But yeah, I mean, I should be saving the emails and, at least mailing them something when their insurance comes up for renewal next time.
Is that how it normally is? Do you guys try to get the personal information?
They usually don't wanna give it to you.
They won't.
So it makes it
She can
hard.
still exit the quote for mailing.
Yeah.
Yeah.